Hi everyone, welcome. I thought it was time for another Finding Inspiration Friday. That is where I find inspiration from my life and use it for a coloring page. Today my inspiration comes from a Christmas scene in a movie that I watch every year, probably for like 20 plus years. It's one of my dad's favorite movies because he says it reminds him of his childhood, and the boy in the movie looks like my dad as a young boy. So, of course, it has some sentimental values to me too. Okay, so the movie is from A Christmas Story, and the scene is when the mom and dad go to the tree lot and they start to bargain for a tree. And I'm going to try to leave a link in the description below for a clip that I found on YouTube. Hopefully that's allowed. But if you've seen the movie before, you probably remember the scene. So now every time I drive by a Christmas tree lot, the dialogue between the sales guy and the parents just repeat in my head. And I just always kind of giggle. So the sales guy, he's trying to really talk up all the trees that he's showing the parents, and he's saying, now this here is a tree. And the mom, she's kind of like skeptical. And so she's saying, this isn't the kind of tree that all the needles fall off of it, is it? And then they go into this whole dialogue on whether they should get a fake tree or a real tree. And then they end up getting the real tree. But yeah, I can't do it justice, so go check it out. It's super funny. So anyway, when I was flipping through this book, I found the perfect page, and that just reminded me of the movie. So this is Nice Little Town, Christmas 3 by Tatiana Bogema Stolova. And here is the page. So it's a Christmas tree lot page. It's perfect. All right, so I'm going to put up some pictures here of some of the movie scenes. And I plan on doing a nighttime scene. The lights I'm going to do in the multicolored lights, like in the scene. These I'll probably keep yellow, like yellow lights, and then along here, yellow lights. But I can definitely take inspiration from like the clothes and put them on here. But, and I think some of the buildings in the movie are kind of like brick color. So I'll probably do some like pinkish red colors for the little building here. All right, so I'll be using a combination of Ohuhu Alcohol markers, Prisma colored pencils, probably some paint pens, and like always, I will color some on camera, some speed coloring, and do some off-camera coloring too. But I'll always try to explain what I am doing, and then I'll show you a finished page at the end. All right, so let's get started. All right, I'm gonna do the lights first, and I'm gonna use this 1011 Deco Yellow for all the yellow lights. 926 Carmine Red, 919 Non-Photo Blue, and 910 True Green for the multicolored lights. And because the lights are so close together, I'm going to put a yellow in between each color bulb. So I'm just gonna start with the yellow and just color right on top, hard pressure right on top of that black line, and then I'm gonna fade it out as it gets away from the circle. And oops, I've already messed up my pattern. So I'll just erase that. All right, and continue on with every other one. All right, and then same concept with all the colors too. I'm just gonna press hard right on top of that circle and then fade out the color. This will help with that glowing effect. Right, and I'm just gonna repeat that for all the lights. I will do a few of these here and then do a few of the bigger light bulbs, and then I'll turn the camera off and do some off camera too. But yeah, same thing with all these other bigger bulbs, although these I'm just keeping yellow. Okay, back with all the lights colored, now onto the trees. I'll be using Ohuhu Alcohol markers, GY43, G6, G420, and G9. So most of these are in that sage green family, all except for that darkest one, which has a little bit more olive tones to it. So the closest ones are going to be the lightest colors, and then the farthest away trees are going to be that darker color, which is the GY43. All right, I'm going to speed this up. It is pretty straightforward coloring, although my brush strokes I'm trying to keep in with the way the tree needles would fall, so more of a downward brush stroke. And I'm also okay that there are some light and darker spots within the marker lines. I'm going to be going over with colored pencil, but that just gives a nice variation for the tree colors. Alright, so this is going to be my lightest shade. This is G420. Yeah, and I'm just going to color these two smaller ones and maybe one more on the left side. All right, the next trees are going to be with the medium shades. So let's see, G6 and G9, and I'm just kind of scattering those around, trying to put the lightest shades again up closer. All right, this is where we're going to bring some life into those trees. So I'm using a combination of these colors, light green 920 and 1096. Definitely going to use the dark green 908 for shadows, maybe some 909, and then highlights neon yellow 1035. All right, so starting with the shadow color, this is 908 dark green. I'm going under each layer, starting with the top tier. And you can think of it as like hairlines. I'm just trying to get some texture in the direction of those natural branch lines. Kind of hard, scratchy downward lines. Keeping some short and then adding a few longer ones. These very back trees don't need a lot, but I'll give them a little bit of a shadow and some highlights too. And I'm just going to use this color for every single tree. All right, now I'm gonna add some light green using the same motion, but I'm not concentrating on the underneath like shadow areas. And again, I'll be using this color for all the trees. All right, and then this is the neon yellow for some added highlights. So using this a little bit more sparingly. All right, now for some of those other greens, I'll mix in here and there. I like the combo of the first 3 colors, but these other colors will help give a little variety since they are not all colored in the same green base. All right, I finished the rest off camera, and aren't they pretty? It's amazing what some simple shading and highlights can do. Okay, now for the ground, tree, and building, I'm going to lay down a base of shadows first. So using Ohuhu Alcohol markers again, BG050, and then BG205. These are a cool gray, perfect for a winter night. And I'm just kind of going over this ground, not being super careful, working around all these little images here. But yeah, I'm not worried that the marker lines aren't even. All right, so that was my lightest shade. Now I'm going into the darker shade, which is the BG205. And I'm gonna concentrate this one around the edges. So leaving kind of a center pathway, because I'm gonna put like a tan color inside there. So just adding where the darker shadows would be. All right, and staying with that same shade, I'm gonna go through where I want my deepest shadows. So creating my own grayscale, maybe you can look at it that way. I'll be covering all the shadows with a main color after this. So this is a bit of an experiment for me. Normally I would put my shadow on top of the main color, so we'll see what happens. I just switched to the lighter gray here to work on some of these little panel details. And thinking about the lights hitting the tree trunk here, the tree branches, so I'm putting the shadow on the opposite side. All right, this is E280 Sand White. I'll be using this for the wood fence, the sled seat, the acorn, lights, and the pine cones. All right, now for everything else. The building, I'll be using a shadow pink, which is RV270. The base and the roof will be R280, and then the tree trunk will be Y11 brown gray. All right, I wanted to bring you closer in here because as you can see, as I go over that blue-gray shadow, it covers it nicely, but gives it like a nice kind of purple hue to it, which is perfect. So yeah, so far working out good. All right, so I'm using this burgundy color for what looks more like a wood structure up here on the roof, and then down below by the stairs. And you can see I added that shadow because it was underneath something, which I think made it look perfect because it's darker than the part on top. All right, just finishing up a few little things here on those panels, adding some green to the flowers and green in this little swag decoration here. And I'm white yellow. It's kind of that golden yellow shade, dark golden yellow. Adding it a little bit into the acorns, the pine cones, and then this will be for the rest of the structure too. So these wood steps and the tree. Oh, and the trim on here. Yeah, I think these colors are blending pretty good with the shadows, so I think that was a win. All right, finishing up some little details here. So this is BR1 for the base of the pine cones, and Y8, which is a very dark kind of yellow gold color. So that's going to be the top of the acorns. And adding a little bit of shadow to this metal work here. All right, I forgot to color this little section in, so using that pink again. All right, and then adding some inside here too. I'm not going to carry it all the way through. I'm going to leave like the center part empty, that way I can color it yellow so it has like a yellow glow coming through. All right, this is E280 and I'm going to use this for the ground also. So just kind of using that brush tip and not being too neat about it. I'm going to start just filling in this more center path. All right, let's go back to the inside of the window. I'm going to be using this color, 928, which is a perfect match for that pink. And then 1029, that will help with some shading, and the yellow color I used for the lights, 1011. So I'll start with that, and I'm just going to fill in this center area here. Not sure where my light source is coming in. Maybe he has a little lamp here that's sitting behind him. And then I'm going to take that darker color, kind of burgundy color, and just work up here on the ends and sides. All right, and then now taking that pink and blending in those colors, pressing kind of hard to burnish and smooth out those pencil lines. All right, so I think I want this trim to be white, but because I have the yellow light shining through, I'm just gonna add a little touch of yellow here on it. All right, and for the stained glass, I'm tying in the colors that I used for the lights. So staying with that 1011 for the yellow, and then this is 926. And then I'll be using 919 for the blue and 910 for the green. All right, and then using 1087 for blending. Adding a little bit of yellow glow. All right, thought I needed to darken up that blue a little bit, so just adding a little bit of this darker 103 inside the edges. All right, I thought it needed a little bit more shadow under here and then in the swags. Okay, I'm gonna use the same pink RV270 for the Christmas tree sign. I need to get up close to see around all those letterings, so I'll do that off camera and come right back. All right, I'm back, and I went ahead and added some of that darker kind of burgundy color pencil on top, just on the two ends there, just to give it some shading. And now I'm blending and burnishing that out with that pink color. So yeah, I think this blends in so nicely with that marker color. Off camera again for the lettering that I did in G420, and now I'm going to shade the bottom parts of those letters and highlight the tops since it's getting hit with the lights. All right, I'm gonna go around the bulbs again just so it can show up better against the marker. Okay, onto the sky. I'm gonna sandwich some of these colors together, making a nice dark gray blue. So 933, 1067, 1065, and then to blend with the light glow will be a 1087. I'll also be using the Prismacolor colorless blender too. And so I'll do a few sections for you on camera and then I'll do the rest off camera. So I'll zoom in here. I'm not sure if it matters what order you do the two darker colors, but I'm starting out with the darker gray. So I'm just doing kind of a light to medium pressure all over, working my way around those little light circles. I'm not really trying to cover those up right now because I'll cover those up with the lighter blue. And I debated on whether or not I wanted to use marker for the sky. I like the boldness of the markers, but I was worried I wasn't going to get that nice transition between the light glow and then the sky. So ultimately I decided on color pencil. All right, I think I'm going to add just a little bit harder pressure in here with that gray. All right, now I'm switching to the blue, and same thing, I'm just going over that darker gray, about the same pressure, kind of a medium pressure. Trying to get a lot of pigment on there, but not have it like burnish or be too intense. All right, this is that medium gray, and now I can start to burnish a little bit more. I'm working it a little bit more into that light glow, but still not completely. I'm just trying to get this middle section burnished a little bit more, making sure it's the right color that I want. All right, now I can take that light blue and start working in kind of grabbing hold of the yellow glow and blending it in with the blue. And then I slowly work the light blue into the gray. All right, now I could take that medium gray again, burnish a little bit more, and now take that blender pencil and just smooth everything out. All right, same thing down here below. This time I'm trying to do the light blue first before I do the gray, and that works out just fine too. All right, I'll finish up the sky and get right back to you. All right, here is the finished sky. I really love the color. I think it's a perfect wintry sky. Okay, so for the mice, I forgot to record what I was doing, but let me tell you the colors. 1061, 928, 1065, and 1067. And I'll bring this up close so I can show you a little bit better. Basically, the noses, I made that really dark gray, add a little bit of shading, and then the lighter 2 grays were used to kind of help color the rest of them. A little bit of pink in the ears and on the cheeks, and that is it. Oh, I left like underneath the nose more white just to give it some highlight and I don't know, just character. All right, so if you remember, the mom in that movie scene had a red scarf, so we're gonna give her a red hat and a red scarf, and I also think she needs red boots, so I'm gonna give her some red boots too. So I am using, the red is 923, and then I'm also using 1029 for like the shadows, and also that pink for the highlights. All right, I gave her some red buttons, and now for her pants are gonna be that dark gray. This is the BG205. We'll give him some gray pants, gray gloves, gray bill, gray pom-pom, and then this person in the back with a gray jacket, and our little sales guy with some gray in his hat and gloves too. All right, I'm using the lighter gray BG050. I want her jacket to be white, but she's gonna have some light gray shading. And then this is E400, a brown jacket. If you remember in the picture, his clothes and the sales guy's clothes were kind of more browns and tans and grays. So that is what I'm gonna use for the rest of the little mice. She's gonna really stand out, which is awesome. All right, and then adding some Y11 into their color scheme too. So yeah, this is just gonna tie in all the other colors that I used before. All right, I'm gonna do a very simple shading technique where I just take a darker shade of the base color and then using the colorless blender to blend and smooth that out. So doing that with the brown coat and then using the dark gray for all the gray areas. These areas aren't very big, so we don't need a lot of detail work. All right, using the white Posca just to highlight the tail a little bit because they kind of get lost in there. And then, of course, adding some white puff to her little pom-pom. The cash register, I'm doing that golden color, and then he's going to have some green and red in his hat and a green sweater. All right, and then using a black fine liner, I'm gonna add a few little eyelashes to her eyes and just darken up some of these areas that get covered up with color pencil. All right, getting to those final details, I'm taking a white Posca and just going over all the black lines in the snow. I think that helps make it look more like snow-like. Not sure I like this. I decided to go over all the black lines on the little pathway here too. And just giving a few more little highlights here and there. All right, let's give the fence a little bit of dimension here. So I'm going to use the color 1094. Same kind of shading technique I did for the clothes, just a little scratches here and there where I want my shadows, and then taking the blender pencil and smoothing that out. It took me forever to figure out what color I wanted the stars. Yellow seemed like the, best decision, but I was trying to be creative, but ultimately I just went with yellow. And now I'm going to go through each light bulb and just make it really bright in the center. So making a little white dot inside each one. On some of them I am trying to cover up the black lines just to help give it more of a glow effect. All right, and then for these bigger bulbs, I am using a yellow paint pen and I am going over the black lines. Again, I think this just helps give it a more like natural glow. All right, I finished the light bulbs and I think they look really cool with that glowing effect. I also added a few yellow highlights on the acorns. I trimmed the stars with a silver gel pen. Oh, and I added some silver gel pen into the cash register. And then I think I did some gold, yeah, gold in the pine cones too. All right, I thought I was done, but I think I'm gonna add some brighter yellow highlights here along the tree branch. So the color pencil goes over this shade of marker pretty well. And just touching up some of these areas over here. All right, the last thing I want to do, I just felt like it needed a little extra like oomph to really bring home all that shiny lights. So I'm going to add these bright stars, like shiny bits on just some of the light bulbs. So some of these are going to have really long beams of light coming through. I don't think I've done this on a page yet, but I've seen some in other pages and I just think it looks so cool. So I was a bit nervous trying it out with the paint pen because it seems like every time I try to make a really skinny line, the paint always like blobs out on me. So I'm trying to be really careful. Okay, yes, I think that really helps add some brightness and shine to the page. Now, I think I'm finally done with this page, so let me give you my final thoughts. I love the scene. It just brings back such fun memories of not only the scene in the movie, but also childhood memories of going and picking out just the right tree for your house. My favorite things on the page, I think, are the trees. They just look so magical under the umbrella of lights, and they are super simple to color. So let me bring the pictures back up and let's take a look and compare. I think I did a good job of capturing the scene in the movie. The multicolored lights, the colors of the clothes, and even the buildings have some of the same colors. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed my inspiration today. And if you need inspiration for your pages, maybe you'll find it in your favorite movie scene. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.